Hi everyone, welcome to Unify. This is our first ever Unify, and it is a partner webinar series under the Inspire umbrella. And we've created this to help bring sales, product, and partner knowledge together. Each of these webinars will have a different business focus, but this one specifically will focus on the customer experience. You'll be able to hear from Joel, who is on our Zoho sales team, Samir, who is one of our pre-sales engineer leads, and Michelle from Threeleaf, who is part of our partner community. We wanted to go ahead and create this webinar series to help promote learning and growth, as well as opening up a conversation and helping collaboration between partners and Zoho with its partners. My name is Anna. I am a partner experience executive here at Zoho, and I work directly with the partner team. Some of y'all may know me as your partner account manager, which we will talk more about in a later slide. But first, I want to talk about who is dedicated to what. So I do see a lot of issues when tickets are being written up by our partners. For anything related to your partner store, to commission, or even partner tagging, you should be reaching out to partner operations, and you can screenshot this slide if you'd like to have these in mind under your contacts or in Zoho Mail to know who you should be typing up that ticket to. We also have a partner support team, which I'm sure you all are acquainted with. These are the people that are dedicated to technical support and help you post-purchase with any customer issues that you may have, such as an integration not working properly or anything that you've done that just has seemed to stop working. We also have partner pre-sales, which is dedicated to helping you, our partners, go ahead and close larger deals or with any demos or any support pre-purchase that you are needing. So a clear distinction between partner support and partner pre-sales is that partner support is for customers, which means post-purchase, and partner pre-sales is for anyone who is a lead, which means that they have not yet purchased a Zoho solution. I also want to talk to you all a little bit about partner account managers. Each region has different partner account managers. For the US premium partners, Connor is your partner account manager. For our advanced partners in the US, Deanna and Matt, you can reach out to them regarding any questions that you have, specifically with sales and marketing. And Andrew and I work with authorized partners. So any questions related to sales, marketing, or just you don't know who to go to in a certain situation, you can reach out to them. In Canada, we have Ian as a partner account manager. The region is slowly growing, and we are hoping to bring in more partner account managers to help us grow within that region. I want to make sure and let you all know about our quarterly Unify events. So we're hoping to have an event such as this one coming out every quarter, as well as the town hall, which we just had 2 or 3 weeks ago. So please make sure to keep an eye out on that North America group page that we've made. This will be specifically for event updates, and this is different from our partner network. And I really would appreciate if you all fill out that post-event survey so that we know if this is something that you'd like to see more of, if you like the material that we're putting out for you all, or if there's other resources that we can provide for you. Thank you all so much for joining in our Unify event. I'm sure you'll love to hear about all of the knowledge that we put together, and we are eager to hear your feedback. Thank you.
Joel Victorian. I am the Director of Sales for North America. I've been with Zoho just past 9 years. It's been a long journey. Started out as an account executive way back when, and kind of just through the process, through hard work, and through collaboration with all of the intelligent people that we have here, was able to end up where I'm at, which is here with you. Today, we're going to talk a little bit about some of the most common objections we see on the Zoho side. Being Zoho partners, some of you, I'm sure, have been such for quite a bit of time. Some of you may be new, but these objections are going to be common to everyone listening in. And this is just kind of some insight on how Zoho approaches those objections. So hopefully you'll find them helpful. Tech support is one that I'm sure each and every one of you has stumbled upon as a customer, as a partner, and it's something that we face on a daily basis. To be quite frank with you, the ties that we have of being an Indian company and being a proud Indian company is that we support our colleagues in India. Most of the objections that we get come from language barrier, the time in which case it takes for support to respond to an inquiry. And a lot of things can play a part or play a role into both of those. Mind you, the language barrier is something that we've been dealing with for my entire tenure, and it's something that we'll forever deal with, and that's perfectly fine. Our customers need to know from the beginning they're dealing with a company that has very proud, very strong ties to our Indian culture. And we will, in any time of day, support our Indian colleagues. I think that being transparent with them in the beginning and being upfront with what they're dealing with, who they're dealing with, and what the dealings will be down the road will just set the proper expectation so they can be a little bit more empathetic when speaking to someone with a strong accent. And maybe we can figure out some ways to pull in other resources to help be a liaison so that communication isn't so mismatched, if you will. In terms of the time in which case it takes support to respond, let's be honest, there's a 11 and a half, 12 and a half hour time difference from the US side to the India side. And yes, there are people that are working, crazy hours overnight to help accommodate these requests in a timely fashion, but it's not going to be at the speed in which case most people want it, which is instantly. The world has trained us to only expect instant gratification, and that's just not the way that tech support works. Now there are alternate options so they can pay for expedited support just depending on the size of customer. There's premium and there's enterprise, which will give them a more expedited experience. But most of the time, you'll run into a situation to where they don't feel that they have to pay for it. And this is where I think setting proper expectations up front pays dividends in terms of just making sure everyone knows what they're dealing with, when they're dealing with it, and how they'll be dealing with it moving forward. Zoho One Licensing. Now, I should have saved this one for the last, but this is one of the more interesting questions that we get because of the different variables that come into play when trying to describe what their employee hierarchy is. Now, Zoho One Licensing, as we've tried to make it, is very cut and dry. There's all employee pricing and there's flexible user pricing. Now, flexible user pricing are for those companies that love Zoho One, love the concept, love the value, and think it's the right fit for their organization. However, don't feel that every single employee in their organization needs to access it. And that's fine, it'll happen. There's manufacturing where people are in the plants or in the the warehouse and they don't have access to a computer nor need access to a computer. You have landscaping companies, irrigation companies, where a majority of the employee count are individuals that are out in yards or in the fields laying the drainage pipes or messing with PVC for irrigation. Those individuals, we understand, they may not need a license. However, it would still qualify as the flexible user pricing. Now, Zoho One All Employee is a little bit more clear cut, right? Um, Zoho One is a solution for you to run your entire organization, and your organization consists of every single one of your employees, regardless of department. If they need access to it or they have access to a computer, they need a Zoho One license. Now, from time to time, we'll get pushback. Oh, this person doesn't need or they don't use a computer. We ask questions, like how do they get their corporate communication? It's probably via email. Then you get Zoho Mail. Is there any internal, instant message communication, whether they use Slack or whatever the case may be? There's Zoho Click. So there are areas where every single person in an organization can touch a Zoho application, which would qualify them for needing a Zoho One licensing. There's a lot of other kind of dark holes we can get into, but I'll keep this one simple. Last but not least, my least favorite as a sales director are discounts. Our competition likely Salesforce and Dynamics and Sugar, they've gotten into a habit of slashing their prices just to compete with us. And some customers or consumers see that as a good thing, meaning that they really want our business. But the question I always push back on the prospects is if they're willing to discount their solution that much, sometimes I've seen as high as 70, 80%. Don't you feel that they were overcharging you from the beginning? Zoho's stance is that we've made our software enterprise ready, right? At a consumable price. You can put our offering up against any one of our competition, and we will beat them on price flat out. Now, in order for other consumer, or I'm sorry, our competition to maybe win that opportunity over us, the measures that they're willing to take, they're crazy in my opinion, and it's funny because when we lose out to Salesforce because they've slashed their price, 50, 60, 70, 80%, I always encourage them sign a contract for 10 years. Lock in that price for as long as you possibly can. Because if it's a 1, 2 year deal upon renewal, the likelihood of them still honoring that discounted price or maybe even slashing it even more, it's pretty slim. In fact, I've never seen it. But that's something that I encourage them to do because I believe in our pricing structure. I believe in our products as they are offered. I believe in the solution that we provide when coupling 1, 2, 5, 50 applications. I don't think there's a competitor in the market that can hold a candle for what we can do out of the box. And it's because I feel that way, because I feel so strongly that I'm able to combat this with pretty much ease. It's taken a lot of practice. I've been doing this for a little while, but I find it relatively easy to combat the discount argument, and I'm sure you guys can too. One of the things that I constantly ask customers and even myself, when I'm just figuring out how to respond to some of these questions from a customer side is what are your company values? When you talk about discounts, how firm is your stance on your initial pricing? When a customer goes to your website and they see the list of prices that are there, are you comfortable with that? Are you confident that they're priced correctly? And if someone tries to question you on that, do you then revert back to your stance on the pricing being the right price? Therefore, you don't budge. When it comes to support, you know, how firm are you in your stance that you're offering the absolute best support possible? Obviously, it's not going to be perfect. No support is. But are you confident enough that your support agents are following with your company values to the point to where you can defend them by any means? Those are some of the things that you should really consider and really ask yourself while you're engaging in these conversations. Quick story is so I was dealing with a enterprise customer. This was just last week, actually, and there were conversations going back and forth in terms of length of subscription, number of licenses, the normal stuff. And we agreed on something. Fast forward a couple of days later, they push back saying they don't want to pay the amount that we agreed upon. They don't want to subscribe for the duration that we agreed upon. Now, I didn't do it purposely as like a sales tactic because I had used this exercise some years ago and I was told that I sounded like a car salesman, like a sleazy car salesman, but it was unintentional. Hear me out. Um, I told them, in normal circumstances, and we were up against Salesforce at this point, in normal circumstances, we are almost always able to save our customers money over their Salesforce subscription, right? And the prospect had told me that it didn't benefit them to switch because the savings wasn't significant enough. So, remembering that he had said that, I was like, if your path and our paths cross in the future, or you need anything from Zoho, please feel free to reach out. I was 1,000,000% prepared to walk away from this opportunity as a loss, which as a salesperson, you don't want to take those. Fast forward to the following morning, opened up my inbox to start my day. First email I get is from this individual from the day before, and they wanted to rediscuss the terms around their subscription. So, me standing in my values in terms of the pricing that Zoho provides and the value that this solution offers at the price it provided at, I wasn't going to budge. That's how much I feel strongly about how we position our products and how we price our products. Nothing was going to get me to budge. And it was an enterprise deal. Those are the things that we strive for, the whales, if you will. I was able to, get back into discussions, and we didn't do anything with the price, nothing at all. And I tweaked the payment structure just ever so slightly. But the bottom line is that the value still remained. Our pricing is as the pricing is, and that's the pricing that they're going to pay. And that's just part of how I combat common objections. I think everything can be routed back to your values as an individual, coupled with your values as a company. And when those two things come together and you stand fast in those, I think you're unstoppable and you can overcome any objection. So I hope this information was helpful. I enjoy every single one of you guys for, hanging out with me for, what is it, 13, 14 minutes now. If I've worked with you in the past, thank you for all you've done. If I haven't worked with you yet, please reach out. Let's find a way to connect. Thanks again, everybody.
Hey, everybody. This is Michelle Scott. I am with 3Leaf CRM, and my topic today is how to resolve customer queries, basically focusing on keeping your customers happy by resolving their issues efficiently and effectively. And it will tie into a little bit about what Anna talked about, and pretty much wanted to kick off a little bit with a little bit about me. I know in this virtual world, it's nice to know a little bit about the person that's presenting to you. It's honestly a little weird to not be able to see everybody, to not be with everybody. I miss that energy. So I feel a little MTV Real World, if you remember that, the confessional where you're just kind of talking out into a void. But a little bit about me. This is 3Leaf CRM Global HQ. That picture on the left, I am in Sparks, Maryland. Yes, this is where I am here. And then in the middle is our VP of Operations and Product Testing, Product Assurance. I did give him the day off. I know some of you that I rehearsed with may be a little disappointed that Sherman is not here, but he has the most awful timing about when he wants to be part of the presentation. So better to leave him home today. And then on the right, this is me and my family. And not just so that you can see that, yes, we enjoy skiing, but it will tie back into the presentation as well. A lot of us here, it's important to maintain work-life balance. I'm very about life-work balance. I do what I do because it gives me the opportunity to enjoy my family, enjoy some personal time and things like that. So I'm going to dig into how that ties into maintaining customer happiness by resolving issues and things like that, and dealing with Zoho support in the best way possible. So I started my career back in corporate marketing about a million years ago. And I actually ended up a CRM consultant by funny happenstance. My CRM consultant hired me because I was that user that would mess up the database, screw up the software. And if he didn't respond quite fast enough, I was that user that figured out how to fix things myself. So want to talk about how we can make sure that we're on top of the customer issues and things like that. And over the years, we've been very lucky to have a customer base that's very sticky. So want to talk about how we do that, how we maintain and create that customer happiness. So when Zoho asked me to speak on this, I kind of thought, why is this important to us as partners? How do we tie this in? Because it may not on the surface sound like the most, interesting or sexy topics necessarily of how do you engage with customers and resolve their issues. Well, it's not only important to us as partners, it's really mission critical, meaning, happy customers, if you think about it, happy customers are repeat customers and they cost less than going out and finding new customers. The other thing is that we need to all kind of figure out how do we keep them happy. So part of this is the engaging with Zoho support, engaging with your customer, and I like to think of what is our recipe for success. And part of it is knowing your resources. One of them is the partner onboarding. I know Anna talked about the email addresses and things, how to engage best with support. At the bottom of my slide here, there is a link to the partner onboarding. I know this was new to me, candidly. I learned some things watching those videos. They're really helpful on figuring out the way that you should engage. I find, if I follow protocol, if I reach out correctly, my response time is going to be better and I can take better care of my customers. The other thing that I'd recommend, just from a partner standpoint too, is to make sure that you have a network, meaning not just, knowing where to go for support, but also have a network of fellow partners. One of the things when I got started, I think about 7 years ago now, is I had a group of fellow Zoho partners that we were all getting certified at the same time, going through training at the same time, and we co-learned. That was critical for me. I believe very firmly that no one individual can be expert in all 50 Zoho products. So make sure that you have that safety net built in, that you know who that you can reach out to. I'm going to admit I am not the best at this one, but I do think that being able to be that expert that your customers can rely on, one of the things to do is set aside some time to get into Zoho Connect and brush up on what is the latest, what other partners are seeing. I know that has been super helpful for me. Knowledge base. I know this sounds pretty obvious, but I don't mean just knowing that there is one, but get familiar with the way those knowledge base articles are written, where you can go to search and just, again, kind of get familiar with it. Last but not least, Uncle Google, that's what we call it in our house anyway, is pretty much anything. I start with a Google search, and I think I have a PhD in Google. The key to these resources is it's really easy as a partner when we have a customer barking at us, either via email or on the other end of the phone, to just wave the white flag immediately, pick up the phone and call support. And I think that it's important to sort of do our due diligence as partners before we wave that white flag. The start of this process, I think, is getting expert in categorizing what the customer issues are. And again, it ties back to what Anna talked about a little bit with knowing where to go, whether it is an actual operations issue. So maybe somebody's trial needs to be extended. Maybe they're having a licensing issue. Or is this a true support issue that I do need to engage and it's beyond what I can resolve for the customer? Best ways here that I have found is engaging with support. Just some tips from my experience in my years as a Zoho partner. And I do want to cover too, I think that there is an expectation not only from Zoho, but from our customers that we, the partner channel, we're experts in the Zoho products. And if I'm engaging with my clients correctly, if I'm taking good care of my customers, we're the face of Zoho to these customers. So we're likely the first place they reach out. And we find that it's more effective and efficient if we can resolve the issue for that customer. So for me, if I do have to wave that white flag, if it's beyond something I can resolve, my best experience has been with chat. There are a couple little tips and tricks to this. I find the best way to do this is make sure you're logged into your Zoho account. I usually initiate it. I'm in my CRM, click on your icon in the upper right-hand corner and you'll get a chat. If you're logged in as you'll get connected with the partner chat channel right away. I find I get somebody on the line within seconds, and very often we're able to resolve it. I've had them jump on the machine with me and take a look at it. Make sure that you have what you need handy, like the org ID for the customer, the user ID for the customer that's having the issue. And typically chat is super responsive. I've had great luck with that. Email, I'll mention this again, just know what email addresses you're going to send your request to. And again, falls back to that categorizing. Is this operations that I'm going to reach out to my partner account manager? Is this a support issue and I'm going to email partner support? One thing I know as a partner is tempting to do is just sort of mass blast everybody on the support to try to get the fastest. Don't do that. Email the right sort of chain of command, if you will, to get the best response. For me, phone is a last resort, not for any reason other than I've had such great luck with chat. I find it's a little bit more time efficient. I also, maybe it's my own personal guilt, I don't want to be the one sort of clogging up that phone channel. So I recommend starting sort of in that order. So how do you ensure happy customers? Well, part of it is, and this is our process that's worked really well for us, is define a process, first of all, internally, and make sure you communicate that with your customers. And something I'm always surprised when other partners don't have their Zoho tools set up. For instance, we focus primarily on Zoho CRM. So we have our Zoho CRM is the crux of our business. I like to be able to, when I get a phone call, have the record pulled up in my database. I can often head off most of the issues that are coming at me because I have record of what's gone down with this account previously. So do you have CRM set up? Do you use Desk? Even if it's not an overly complicated implementation of Desk for your company, even if it's just a support at email address that creates a customer ticket, heading that off, and again, having a defined process for your customers to engage with you is critical. And it makes them feel like they have a defined way to engage with you. It's trackable. They get automatic communication, things like that. So make sure you use your tools. And don't forget Zoho Assist. That's a big one for us as well. And communicate. I'm going to come back to this one in just a moment, but make sure that you communicate with your customers, autoresponders, let them know, what kind of time they can expect to hear back. Support process. These are little things, but again, mission critical to making sure that I can take care of the client issue efficiently and effectively. So when you get that request from a customer, translate it. What do I mean there is oftentimes, we deal with a lot of salespeople and it is something is on fire. It's mission critical, it's life or death kind of situation. Break it down, translate that request. Is it really a support issue? Or is it that old rogue user that accidentally created an account outside of their organization? So dig into, read between the lines and figure out, is it really a support issue? Verify it, meaning, did you see the issue? Did the client send you a screenshot or a video screen recording, something like that? Did you jump on via Zoho Assist? So do you know that it's an issue? Replicate it. Can you get the same error or the same issue to happen in your system? Is it happening for all users in their system? Or is it, user specific or environment specific? And then research it. I mentioned, I go to Uncle Google immediately. He's sort of my best friend when it comes to tech. I can almost always find something via that search, either in the knowledge base or in Connect, that someone has seen the same issue that I'm seeing, and I can try those steps and typically get to the bottom of what the issue is and resolve it for the customer. This one, I feel like, even though it's part of the process, I feel like it deserves a slide of its own, partly because I wanted to put another picture of my dog in my slide presentation, but managing expectations. We do this from the outset, setting expectations. Other partners are sometimes a little surprised when I say, that life-work balance is mission critical. It's one of our company values, is we set the expectations of what we deliver and what we don't deliver to the customer from the moment we engage, even pre-engagement. In all of our documentation and all of our engagement and discovery, we talk about what we provide, when we provide it, and when we don't, and what we don't. Another one, training. This one links to the dog picture on the screen here, is train not only your internal people, but your customers too. And what do I mean by that? If you set out, for instance, my customers know we aren't here at 5 o'clock on a Saturday night. You're not going to get someone. Training your customers, setting that expectation is first, but then training them, meaning if they send an email at 5 o'clock on a Saturday, and even though you told them you're not going to respond, you're on it and you respond right away. Just like Sherman has learned, he does not come in the house unless you offer him a treat. I have mistrained him with that expectation. And you can do the same with your clients. So if you say, we're not here after 5:30 p.m. weekdays, but then you answer every email immediately, you're training them that you and your expectations weren't so solid. I mentioned communication before. This one is, again, mission critical. And the best analogy I can think of is when you're in a busy restaurant and you see the servers running around and no one comes to your table after you've been seated for a really long time. That's frustrating. One of the best servers in an organization, in a restaurant, will come to the table. I like when they put their hand on the table and say, I have 4 other tables right now. I will be right back to get your drink order. But they have done a couple of things. They've communicated, they've set the expectation, and you have now that connection. A lot of us are very busy, which is great, but a lot of us also don't respond to the client. And even if you're super busy, if you get a request, respond, set up an autoresponder. Again, give them somewhere that they feel like they have management like Desk to track that response time, but don't let them linger forever. Because like us as customers in that restaurant scenario, you may get up and walk out. If you don't communicate and at least respond, your customers might get up and walk out also. Just to kind of wrap up, what are the benefits and why is this so critical? Keeping your customers happy by responding and taking care of their queries is, again, we talked about, well, obligatory picture of Sherman. I'll completely confirm it's the eyebrows if you're wondering why he's so cute. Repeat business. Happy customers continue to do business with us. More business. Happy customers, if you take good care of them, they refer people to you, and it does end up including additional business. The other is sanity. So what I mean by that is that life-work balance. If you manage the customer's queries, if you take care of them well, if you're responsive, you can maintain that life-work balance. So take the time, invest in your processes, know your resources, set up your tools, and take amazing care of your customers. Questions and answers. I do have a couple of questions here. Marshall. Oh, hey, Marshall. Where do you go to chat with support? So I usually launch it right from my CRM. Again, what I have found, and this is in the partner onboarding, is they mentioned this. So if you go back to that or reach out to me and I can share that slide. But in CRM, for instance, your user icon in the upper right-hand corner, if you click on that, there's a chat with us option. And if you're doing it from your account rather than the customer's account, you're connected with partner support right away. That's been my best experience there. Next question is, using Click. I get that too. I have found that for me, since I get escalated right to partner support and the response has been so great, my timing wise with chat inside of the product has been super easy. And I also like that a lot of times if it requires a Zoho Assist connection or something, they'll jump on with me. So, but yeah, I use Click as well if I can't get through the chat. Maybe I'm not in front of my computer or whatever. But yeah, I use Click as well. Oh, this is a good question. And I know this is sort of a polarizing question. How do you bill customers for support? So when we go and engage with a customer, we have a couple of things that we'll do. We do project-based for an initial, the project or the implementation, and then we offer a couple of ways for support. They can either do a prepaid support package with some hours, or it's just ad hoc billable. So if they choose to just do our billable rate, we can do it that way. Is there a different approach for support that you take between smaller and larger client accounts? Let me project that question. Not really. I mean, I do find that, depending on what kind of support plan they engage with us on, I don't, I come from a restaurant family, so this may not be a great analogy for everybody, but for me, I'd rather have a bunch of large tables. So our clients tend to be around the 25 user-ish mark, but we try to take care of them all the same. And we train them all, again, the same. That's been one of the things that I've found in my 25 plus years as a CRM consultant in general, is training the customers, small or large customers, that they need to know how to engage with you. So just kind of setting that expectation. But no, I really don't approach them differently. Other partners may disagree with that, but that's been the way we go about it. Partner question here. I'd like to know about your business process. How do you help the lead relationship turn into a customer relationship? Would you say the key in sales, pre-sales support, or a combo? Certainly a combo, right? I don't do a ton of sort of what I would call pre-sales. We typically engage in an intro call, leads to then, if they want to do a discovery, leads to a project, leads to support. I'm not sure if that speaks to that much, but yeah, that lead to customer for us happens pretty quickly. Again, not sure if that's completely answering that. Some of these I'm going to leave. I may ask the Zoho team to address a couple of the others here. This isn't so much support related, but I'm going to jump this one up into the project here anyway. So how do you determine which applications to become experts in? Yeah, the suite. This is one of the things that's so great, but that can be intimidating about Zoho is I think we're 50 plus applications now and growing, which I love. And my best advice to partners is pick where your talents and your interest is. I mentioned I come from corporate branding and marketing. So I tend to focus on the sales and marketing suite. It's where I'm strongest. It's where my interests lie. So, I joke with my customers, but you don't want me to to be a books expert, or, I know how I'm wired. So my best advice there would be to be honest with yourself in what you are good at, what you're drawn to, and focus on those. I love this question, and this is another one from Mazi. Is there any support that you provide to the customers that's not billable? Like when you find out the issue was a result of an update in Zoho? My customers know that to engage with us, we are billable. We bring value to the table. Our time is of value, and our clients know that they pay for that. If there is something that they email us or they submit to Desk, and this is kind of the ticket to this, no pun intended with the Desk, is they know that that's the first line of defense. If you pick up the phone, or I get on a Zoho Assist, or we engage, in a meeting, my time is billable. So to head that off, directly kind of aimed at that question, is if they email it in and I respond via an email, that's not billable. So that would kind of get us to that answer more quickly. But my customers are all very, very well trained that they know that if they engage us, our time is billable. So hopefully that helps answer that. Another one here. How do you vet potential clients to help ensure they're a good fit efficiently. For example, do you ask pre-qualifying questions in a web form during your initial consultation, et cetera? Not so much from a form, but I will give a prospect, we will engage in an intro call. It's typically 30-minute call, and we'll get some qualifying information there. Once you've sort of been in it long enough, you can actually get a feel for it. So I will head it off, and I'm very, very candid with my clients of where I'm a good fit and where I'm not. So to me, it's the candor. And again, going back to knowing sort of where your talent lies and where your expertise lies. All right, guys, I think that's about the other questions. I'm going to, again, kind of toss them and ask since they're more on the Zoho side. Thank you so much. And again, I hope to see everybody live and in person. Thanks for the time, and have a great rest of your day, guys.
Hey, Michelle, I think we still have 2 questions that just came in at this very moment. I don't think the audience is ready to let you go just yet.
Okay.
You are clearly a great, knowledgeable resource. So if you can look through a couple of those questions, I'm sure that we'd love to hear a little bit more from you.
Sure. Let's go ahead and answer a couple more here. How do you work on the customer's account? Do you ask for his or her credentials, or do you ask the customer to create an account? This one actually does go back to that large versus small accounts. If they're a small business, we don't require that they set up an admin account. On those larger accounts, in the grand scheme of things, them buying an additional Zoho One license in order for me to access it is no big deal, and they're happy to do it. I will say that has actually been super easy lately with the feature. I'm going to say it's 6 months launched, but it may be longer since, the COVID space-time continuum that doesn't make any sense anymore, where you can have your email address be the login to multiple databases, adminning for other customers and having that access. I love that. So that one is sort of it depends, right? On smaller ones, we do just get their admin credentials and log in that way. For clients that engage us to be their actual database administrators, we ask them to create an account for us. So this one, I heard about the ways that you can connect to support. What's the best way you've seen? Again, from me and for your customer, I think there's an underlying question there, and I'll just kind of answer. My customers typically, they'll engage 3Leaf before they reach out to support directly, just because, they'll call us and ask us, what kind of phone they should get. So even though we're not phone system developers or implementers, they'll ask that anyway because they trust us. We are their face for their Zoho. Again, for me, it's been that chat. And I've had the best luck. I'm in my CRM, all the time. So I'll just launch it from there. That's been the best. Customers report the same is with the chat. And I know hold times have been absolutely great for me anyway. If you're on hold for a couple minutes on the phone, I'm on the phone or on Zoom talking all day. No offense, but I don't always want to pick up the phone and talk to someone. That's not just a Zoho thing. That's in anything. If I can chat, that's my best bet. And that's what I hear from customers as well. Can you share your discovery process and how you keep it separate from implementation? Again, I don't want to assume that there's a question between the lines here, but this is one of the fuzzy things when you're, a billable consultant, because where does that discovery phase end into the project? And this was a 2022 commitment on my part, a business resolution, if you will, is really managing that creep from discovery into project and change orders and things like that. I'm ever learning how to best manage this one myself too. What we have started doing is the discovery phase. We give an initial sort of estimate as to how long that's going to take. That's one of the few areas that's not project or value based. It's true time. So that kind of manages that a little bit. Hope that answers. And Zoho team, I'm going to count on you to tell me when to when to stop answering the questions here because they do just kind of keep rolling in. When clients want someone to implement all of Zoho One, but you're only CRM, how do you deal with that? I deal with that slide that I mentioned. Have a network, have people around you, whether they're, in your company. 3Leaf is a small business. I have consultants that I work with on a daily basis that are much better than me at things that I'm just not good at. For instance, I'm not wired for projects. My brain doesn't work that way, but I have people that I can lean on for that. I'm not a coder. I surround myself with people that I can reach out for that. That's been critical. And, it's have that network and reach out to other partners. You can reach out to me if you want. Find me on Click. I'm happy to connect. I think co-learning, and I love that the channel's building that way. And we're here to support each other. There's enough business to go around. One last question. Do you make your support pricing publicly visible to prospective clients or only reveal it in the intro calls? Not cagey about it by any means. It's not out there on my website necessarily. I want them to engage in order to get that. But if someone even just fills out our contact us form and asks, we're happy to share it. But typically we want them to engage. We know that if they chat with us, if they talk to us, if we get on a meeting, they will get into that. And that's kind of where that engagement, that hook happens, if you will. All right, guys, I am getting the wave off and answering the last questions. Again, if you need somebody to kind of reach out to, find me out there and I'd be happy to engage. Thank you all so very much. Have a great rest of the day.
Hey, everybody. Thank you all for joining us. If you haven't met me yet, my name is Samir. I am helping lead the sales engineering and support departments here at Zoho in our US offices. And it's exciting to be here, and I'm really happy to be part of this virtual summit that we have for you guys as partners. Some of you I've worked with directly. Some of you it's hopefully my first time meeting y'all, and I'm excited to work with y'all in the future. And more importantly, I'm hopeful that we'll be able to meet in person sometime soon. There are some exciting things to talk about here, of course, and I know everybody's a little bit anxious to find out a little bit more about what's coming up in our products. But we're also going to be taking a little bit of time in the beginning of this to kind of address and briefly talk about, kind of looking at providing Zoho as a solution in kind of a new way when it comes to the front office side of our applications, sales, marketing, customer support side of the technology. So I'm just going to jump ahead a little bit here and talk about the agenda. So to summarize what we're going to be talking about a little bit, we'll have a quick breakdown of what the new CRM experiment is about. Some of you might have heard and know exactly what I'm talking about, but if you don't, we're going to be going through that a little bit in this part of the session. And we'll also, of course, take some time to go through some of the recent updates in the CRM, some new features that were rolled out, some as recent as today. And also we'll make mentions of some of the enhancements and updates in Workdrive and Mail, some existing enhancements in Desk, and some upcoming stuff in Desk, as well as marketing automation as well. I know those are some of the on-the-nose hot button topics. And, we'll definitely take some time to go through some of those things. And of course, some of these you might have seen in the Partner Connect portal and the network. We'll take some time to cover those, but we'll also make mentions of some other things that are coming up too, pretty briefly. So without further ado, let's jump into that first section, new CRM. So again, some of you know exactly what I'm referring to here. But if you don't, these next few slides will sort of offer a little bit of background to see kind of where we imagine the market going and everything. And essentially, what we feel is the next step that we need to take as a vendor, and where the opportunity is for partners to kind of get into that same direction and everything. So first off, just to set the foundation here, of course, It is true, and we all can understand and agree that the market for CRM technology, the demand for it, has increased over time and has been pretty crazy over the past couple of years with digital transformations that have been forced upon companies that never really prioritized it. And that trajectory is only going to get higher and higher within the coming years. Even if things were to open up and go back to normalcy, we're still going to see that demand for digital transformation, for CRM technology needs. And we don't really think it's going to stop anytime soon. And we're also seeing this happening across the globe. Of course, the demand is being led by customers and businesses and organizations in the US and Canada, but we're seeing that happen a lot in emerging markets as well. Europe, Middle East, Africa, Asia Pacific, and everything. So we're going to see a lot of that. Partners here that might be doing business internationally have probably seen that same sort of demand happen across the globe. But even if we look at this globally and look at some of the emerging markets and see, what the demand is and the change across, different regions, different customer sizes and everything. Not only is the demand changing and getting faster and faster and more pickup, but also just the expectation of what CRM technology is supposed to deliver has changed along with it. If we were to ask ourselves this question, and even internally at Zoho asked this question maybe 5 or 10 years ago, what the definition of a CRM is, I think all of us would probably easily say that it's supposed to be dedicated as a sales or a pipeline management tool, something that encompasses, some of those functions. When in reality, especially at this point, we can really consider it a lot more than just, tracking sales information or sales activity and everything. And of course, we have the technology to serve that, and we've been offering those things. But just that one definition of CRM and how we as Zoho have positioned that might be a little bit different from what the market itself is demanding or expecting from technology vendors at this point. And one thing that we've invested a lot of our time internally in our efforts is really understanding what those industry definitions are and what the expectations are to change. And this is a quote from a high-profile CRM analyst at Forrester, Kate Leggett, who has, in fact, kind of agreed with that same expectation and change in definition for what CRM actually is. Again, traditionally, it's always been that sales pipeline activity management solution, or what the industry calls SFA, sales force automation. But for so long, we've treated it that way, and by our own admission. And I think both us as vendors and you guys as partners who have helped us succeed along the way have kind of went along with that same definition for a while. But with that definition changing and with the reality, being so much more and stretched beyond those types of interactions, we're seeing that, communication change, even with, the types of things that are being expected. This is another quote from, Gartner as well. That's, kind of pulling the same thing in, where they highlight sales, marketing, customer service, and digital commerce as huge components with what the CRM definition actually is. But even when we think about every single business or customer that we engage with, their own definition might be different. Their expectation, of course, might be different from each organization that you talk to. An e-commerce company might not need the same level of sales pipeline management that another organization might need. Service-based companies might not need digital marketing solutions as much as a company that sells consumer goods, right? And maybe even companies targeting different demographics, older or younger consumers in other businesses, might be investing or expecting different needs and different technology for what a CRM actually is, based on who they're targeting, what they sell, what region that they are in. what those typical business practices actually look like. So the fact remains that they're all investing in CRM technology, but just with slightly different concentrations. And the interesting thing to think about is we looked upon, what other technology vendors are doing, and how they're also kind of adjusting to this new level of expectation, this growing demand. And while some of them might be branding themselves, of course, as something bigger than they are, doing this kind of smoke and mirrors approach to pitching things, um, it's interesting to see how they brand themselves versus how much they actually meet that true definition. Some might have an emphasis on something strong, but are they really covering the base end to end of what businesses and our customers actually expect? Of course, if you look at Salesforce, for example, that offers, of course, one of the most competitive CRMs to us out there. And they've had a high emphasis on the Salesforce automation side of things, and even service. They've branded themselves and offered that solution across multiple mediums, multiple departments, but still say that they're offering a CRM solution. The same thing applies to Zendesk, and we all know that their biggest emphasis and their biggest core competency is on customer service, right? So they pride themselves on offering an end-to-end customer experience platform. The same thing applies to HubSpot, where their emphasis is specifically on marketing automation, yet they go with the same definition and forward branded thinking of what exactly CRM is and what their emphasis might be, whether they're lacking in other places or not. And even something as simple as task management with Monday.com or project management has also been kind of branding themselves the same sort of way. And it's interesting to see what the market has been expecting, what other vendors in our domain have kind of been doing, and what that really means for us in terms of how we should be positioning ourselves, or what things we need to be thinking about. So if you take our entire set of product offerings when it comes to what we've traditionally called CRM, it has a pretty wide spectrum, of course. We recently introduced Zoho Begin for micro businesses and customers just starting out and needing a pipeline management tool specifically, offering different editions with different technology, different functionality, all the way to the other spectrum with something like CRM Plus, as well, offering pretty much everything under the sun when it comes to customer-facing operations, sales, marketing, customer support. And of course, that comes packed together with a lot of technology that we have outside of just that CRM brand. So Desk, marketing applications, projects, survey, everything else that we know and love about the product offering. But there is a missing piece here that we wanted to investigate a little bit more. And we really wanted to kind of simplify the customer experience and approach to what that is. So that's where sort of the idea and the volition of this new CRM concept sort of came into play, and this experiment started. So back in the middle of 2020, our CRM product and marketing teams kind of came together, understood and had discussions with industry analysts, and decided to work on this experiment of what exactly it means to offer a CRM solution and what changes we should make to kind of align with that as well. And again, if we think about those industry definitions, if we think about what the other technology vendors are offering, however much in theory versus reality they actually might be providing, and then also what the demands of a CRM solution actually might be, it encompasses all of these different things. Of course, sales, marketing, and support, and all of the other platform level services that Zoho has been able to offer extremely well. Artificial intelligence, analytics and dashboards, process orchestration, aggressive customization, both from a coding level and a drag and drop UI level as well. So we want to move that pendulum a little bit from what we've currently been doing, where we offer maybe CRM or marketing automation or desk as standalone apps, and as well as offering CRM Plus, which gives them anything and everything, and kind of move away from just those two offerings into something that's a little bit more easier to understand for our customers and our consumers, and allow them to have a little bit more of a positive experience when they go through that process of acquiring CRM technology from us, where they go through one thing, they see one name, and they can make the decisions consciously themselves on what technology that they actually need. So if you think about it, what makes the most sense here, by matching our definition, by seeing what other vendors have been doing and what the industry analysts have been seeing as well, is you just go to one app, you go to one user interface, you go to one website, and as a customer, someone evaluating our technology, realizing what they need along the way, slowly adding on maybe some of those applications, to eventually maybe get to the point where CRM Plus makes sense, instead of just giving this and or black and white sort of approach. We don't want people to feel like CRM or desk or marketing automation gives them just a little bit and make the experience that much less available, but also not give them too much at the same time, where they feel overwhelmed with something like CRM Plus has, and also the licensing issues that might actually come with it as well. And that's where this whole concept of new CRM came into play. And if anybody's ever seen it yet, it has a very similar look and feel to CRM Plus. It essentially has the same user interface, but instead of starting with every single application that CRM Plus actually offers, they start with CRM. They start with desk or marketing. They get to choose exactly what emphasis and focus that they want to put emphasis on, rather than either seeing a little bit of something or everything under the sun. And then allow them to sort of consciously make the decision and realize through their own, exploratory and discovery process what exact technology that they might actually need, and that presents them those options at the right time within that experience. And they can always add on more and more, such as maybe live chat or project management or survey and things like that. So not giving them too much, but also not giving them way too little at the same time. And when we started this experiment 18 months ago, we only started with just directing a little bit of our traffic from our website to this new interface, and see what the actual changes look like. We did it with a very small test of our US and Canada market specifically, and seeing what that success looked like. And the data seemed pretty compelling. Obviously, conversion rates went up because they were able to see that they can acquire more applications. Their expectations were met based on what they were hoping to sign up for. And what's even more compelling is the amount of revenue that was generated in upgrade licenses, meaning that they added on a second or third or however many more products, came way more from this new CRM initiative than with just buying standalone Zoho CRM that we know and been able to sell for a very, very long time, which is even more compelling. And that's where it definitely makes sense. And this is not only an opportunity to increase license revenue, but also, if we think about it, we're extending that same level of service revenue for our partners at the same time. Now, instead of customers being told or even go through that discovery process of identifying what solutions that they might need, we're simplifying that approach, where the customer might even be able to come to you and say, "Hey, I've seen this. This is what I want." So it might even simplify the discovery, implementation, and planning process, so that they come to you with whatever they want, rather than you having to go and discover, pitch, and sort of understand where they're coming from. And we're hoping that that makes that process even more simplified for our partners too. And we're lucky and hopeful that, you know, even with this whole standalone initiative that we've been doing for so long, with CRM as a Salesforce automation pipeline management tool, we've still been the best. We've still been able to be rated very highly across different review sites in the industry and in analyst ratings and things like that, with just this one standalone pipeline management sort of consideration. But now think about it from this new CRM branding perspective. If we're able to pack everything else that could potentially come along with that experience, marketing, sales, service, whatever else, and establish that, we're going to be probably rated even stronger because it just comes with more, you know, expected functionality. It meets that demand. It meets what the analysts have been telling us. It meets what everything else has been, what everything has been going on for the past while. You know, another example with Desk being rated so highly as a standalone customer service ticketing platform, it already carries its own weight. But if we combine that pitch and we give that experience, we're going to be in a powerful situation, to be honest. And that's what gets me very excited about this whole experience and what makes it really compelling, not only from, again, a license standpoint, but also more importantly for y'all as partners, that potential service and add-on implementation when it comes to more and more that they will be asking of you, rather than finding out exactly what makes the most sense for them. And that even, you know, comes down to, again, what that speed and that acceleration is for generating some of that revenue. As the trajectory of the demand is increasing for CRM technology, as the, you know, expectation is widened, and we bring in this new offering, we're going to be able to kind of capture that same momentum along the way. And that's both, you know, great for Zoho as a vendor, but more importantly for y'all as partners as well. And this is going to sound a little interesting, and maybe not a lot of us have thought about it. And even myself, I've not thought a lot about this, but it even starts at the very beginning for some of these micro businesses. Begin has been rated extremely highly as a small business pipeline management tool. And we've seen that same level of success and that opportunity for expansion. If any one of us is working with a micro business or some company that's just starting out with that CRM technology, don't really know what they want, that upgrade process that goes from their cycle of starting with Begin, moving on to CRM, moving on to multiple applications, and then eventually over to Zoho One at some point, that allows us to cement Zoho as a technology vendor so early on in that process, so that the overall customer stickiness is that much more prevalent. They entrust Zoho as a technology vendor that works and scales with them, and then they trust their partners even more, that they're giving them a little bit, they're pretty much meeting exactly what they're looking for at their maturity level. And it kind of grows and grows along with it, with that perspective. They get comfortable with us in the beginning, low pressure environment, and then slowly start to add more and more on, more complexity, more scalability, more products at the end of the day. So there's a lot of exciting stuff here. And I just wanted to take this first portion of this presentation to kind of walk through that, and something to maybe think about when it comes to this new CRM initiative. Now onto the more exciting stuff, of course, when it comes to actually feature and technical updates. There is quite a lot, of course, that we've been working on and been actively identifying as new potential ways to adopt and bring in more technology. And we'll take some time to focus on CRM updates. And we're obviously not going to be able to go through everything today, otherwise it would take 4 or 5 hours. But we'll definitely highlight a few things that are most compelling, some things that, you know, were released as early as today, or as recent as today, I mean, and talk about some other things that are coming up pretty soon. One of the main things that's pretty comprehensive here is our enhancements in Canvas. Now, I'm sure all of us have tried Canvas and hopefully have implemented it for some of our customers. with some of the more industry changing and disruptive features that it kind of offers. But we've added a little bit more technicality to it. And one of the biggest things has been reusable components. I know this has been an annoyance for a lot of people, but once they build and customize something in one module or something else, it's important to be able to maybe reuse that later on in another module that we create a canvas for. So with these new reusable components, you're able to save your customization, your specific thing that you make for maybe a section, an element, a field, and save that for reuse later on. So you change the colors, you put in hours and hours of work into these different components, and you have to reinvent the wheel every single time. Now that's not really the case anymore, which is going to make things a little bit easier. One cool thing that we've also added is a gallery of components along with it. So, excuse me. So on top of being able to save and create new things and customize them, you're also going to be able to take a look at some of the gallery components and just use that as a foundation as well. Makes things a lot easier, a lot more exciting, and allows you to kind of run with it as well. There are only a few components in there in the gallery at this point, but we're going to be adding more and more along the way, and it's going to make things a lot easier. This is a little bit more info on what types of components that can actually be saved. There's also the option to do style presets. So you make some font changes, text sizes, colors, things like that. So instead of having to change every single component to those styles, you're not able to just save them as presets and then select them when you need to. So that also is a huge time saver for a lot of us who are setting up canvases for our customers or showing them off as really cool stuff. So, a couple of under the hood things that are going to be available there. And this is another exciting one that I've had the privilege of being able to see a few times. But lead scoring, well, scoring rules in general, has been updated pretty immensely. This was updated a few months ago, but if anyone hasn't seen it yet, instead of being able to just add one scoring model or scoring rule per module, you're now able to implement multiple for leads or multiple for contacts. And that means, maybe an organization's marketing team might score their leads a lot differently than their sales team might. They might focus on different things. It might be important for the marketing team to understand their email interaction history and clicks on marketing emails, and also some core information that we know about the organization itself, versus sales might want to focus on their activity scoring and how many times they've answered calls or done other things or worked with other third-party applications. So this allows for multiple scores to be tracked and saved at the same time, rather than only abiding by one. And now there's even some more graphical representations of that data in every single record. So instead of having to actually read every single number, there's a way to be able to see that visually within the user interface, rather than having to, actually look at these numbers and try to do some math in your head, which I know for me is not the most fun thing in the world. Another under the hood thing that's also very, very important is some of our updates to client script. Now, hopefully some of us have taken advantage of the client script feature that allows for automation to happen right within the creation page of a new lead, or when changes are made in a canvas. But there's a lot of under the hood features that are available now with that too, making the process to create client scripts a lot better and a lot easier. You can review code before you actually implement it, and actually see what it looks like before it happens. It also allows you to save or come back to make edits and changes without saving, and also even change the order of execution when it comes to these client scripts. And I know that's going to be an important thing for a lot of larger organizations that need to automate things happening all over the place. So these are some good things that'll help for some of those more complex requirements that might come in. Now, this is something that just got implemented today, which is managing wizards in the sandbox. Now, wizards is an amazing feature. We all know that it simplifies that process for customers to enter information, and users don't have to go through pages and pages of fields to fill out. Now we can simplify that process and make it easier by filling out a few fields, clicking some buttons, then seeing some new fields, and making that process a little bit less overwhelming. One of the biggest challenges with that feature has been you weren't able to actually test it out before setting it up and deploying it. And with some work that's been done, and we're happy to share that it's available today, you're able to actually test out wizards in the sandbox before actually deploying it to customers and to their environments. So that's going to make things a lot easier and a lot more secure of an implementation for wizards as well. And we hope what comes with that is more usability, more ways to actually take advantage of this feature, and we see more and more usage from it in the future as well. Now, this is something that you might have seen on Connect, and this is an exciting one that we're hoping to find more and more use cases on before we actually deploy it publicly. But configure price quote features in the CRM. We shared this a few months ago as something that we're working on, and it's been a huge demand from both customers and partners alike. Where we are not only able to just set up quotes, but also create price rules so that whenever a certain value has been met, or quantity has been met, we trigger multiple things to happen, or create automated bundles so that when one product is selected, it comes with a set of other products in the module as well when creating a quote. So there's a lot of functionality here. There's a lot of potential when it comes to it as well. And one of the things that we want to make sure of is that we're capturing as many use cases as possible. So if you haven't taken a look at it, if you haven't tried it out, I definitely recommend going to that Connect post and getting early access to it, because we want to hear more. We want to be able to understand use cases that we might not be able to see ourselves. And partners have a very, very unique opportunity and a unique advantage here to really bring those use cases that we're not able to maybe see 100% ourselves, and have that baked into some of the functionality that we're going to be developing. So it's not quite ready yet, and we don't feel that we're meeting it 100% of what the market is asking for, but it is something that we want to hear more about. So definitely take advantage of it. Go to that early access and talk to our team about making those adjustments as we need and adding it to our development roadmap, because it's definitely important. Of course, there are some other roadmap features that we weren't able to talk about today, but definitely want to make mentions of it. Of course, we kind of mentioned CPQ and a couple of other things, but some other exciting ones, of course, things like suggesting next best actions using artificial intelligence. One other thing that's going to be pretty important coming forth is the voice of the customer module, which allows us to be able to kind of extract all customer communication and be able to see what an organization's customers are actually talking about. That's analyzing desk tickets, surveys, all these other things, and being able to provide a little bit more of an aggregation of all those, as well as account-based marketing. This is something huge for mid-market and enterprise clients, but being able to analyze accounts and develop strategies on how to market to them for some of those larger clients. The unified customer portal has been one of those things that we've invested a lot of time on, and we don't have a lot to share about it today, but it's definitely something pretty exciting and something that we're close to sharing pretty soon. There's also some more platform capabilities as well that are going to be under the hood that you'll see later on. Things like function orchestration, being able to automate when functions are launched, all the way to changing how widgets and even our development kits are going to be available for custom integrations. So we're going to see a lot of that coming pretty soon as well. So that's everything for CRM for now. We do want to make some mentions of some of the other applications too, because these are just as important, if not more. But you might have recently seen that we launched a third iteration of Workdrive, which comes with some pretty impressive features. One of the biggest things was the Workdrive Genie, which is a way for organizations to, instead of using Zoho Writer, Sheet, and Show to make edits and changes to their documents, they can continue to use their offline applications to make edits and changes to their content through that connection. So For example, if they have a PDF image or something else, they can use Photoshop for that instead of having to download it, then go to Photoshop and then upload those changes back again. Same thing with documents, presentations, and spreadsheets. They can use Microsoft applications to be able to do that same thing. This was available on Windows machines. It is now available on Mac OS as well. So definitely take advantage of that and definitely talk to your customers about it if they're using Workdrive. There's also a way to categorize different templates now, so that it makes it a little bit easier for larger organizations that are investing in Workdrive to be able to create new documents and new files based on previous things that have been stored, and a way to organize content and folders a little bit easier as well. Pinning things, making them as favorites, allowing them to be able to see team folders, personal folders, all in one view. Just a little bit of a facelift when it comes to the user experience. And there's also some really cool changes with the mobile app and also offline access. You're not able to see a lot of files in a more compact way. You can pack more files into one view, and also being able to see previews and images a lot better than the usual way. There's even offline access available on the mobile app that gives people the ability to access any of their files up to a size of 1 gigabyte and be able to save those to the app itself rather than having to go to the web and have access to internet to be able to see some of those files too. And we've even published some APIs and some updated things for Workdrive specifically. Moving on to Zoho Mail, we have implemented a few accessibility updates. We did make a recent Partner Connect post on that as well, but making things a little bit easier for our accessible users, and also some interesting features, being able to create permalinks for specific emails, so that not only instead of forwarding or sharing, users can now create a link and share that link with somebody on Click or wherever else to get access to that email as well. So another way to share communication. There's also a little bit more of a secure passage through secure pass mail, which allows us to be able to lock down what an email, what type of access that a recipient has to an email, whether they can forward, reply, things like that, and adds a little bit more security to those components. Moving on to Desk, y'all might have seen this, but one very, very impressive feature that we came out with, well, not really feature, but basically we've created a new, slightly updated user interface for Zoho Desk that's available for some early access customers as well as all partners. And that comes with some exciting things that I've been waiting for a long time personally, such as dark mode, because I don't want to strain my eyes anymore, and also some really nice ways to be able to see and access the application. So it's basically using a new front-end language, React, to adopt Zoho Desk, and so with it comes a lot of optimization, a lot of speed, a lot of easier ways to actually access Zoho Desk in real time. Things like, for example, you don't have to go through different pages of tickets to be able to find the one that you're looking for. There's forever scrolling now. So you don't have to go through pages and pages of tickets. The headquarters has been updated a little bit. It looks a lot nicer. And even different views are going to be available. The users can change the themes, change different colors, go to dark mode. All these different things are going to be available. And even going into a ticket thread, you could see, changes to what components are going to be available, how to access extensions and things like that. A lot of it is a lot easier to access. And again, no real major functional changes other than just making that experience a little bit better for now. But one thing that is pretty impressive that we're working on, that we're not ready to talk about just yet, fully or give out to customers just yet, is this new feature called guided conversation. Now, if anybody has already used Sales IQ and the chatbot functionality, you might have noticed recently that there is a Codeless Bot Builder now. So instead of having to actually use Sales IQ Deluge scripts or maybe an NLP platform to create conversations in the Sales IQ bot, now there's a way to drag and drop different components and make that process a lot easier. We're now taking that even a step further with guided conversations. And so from any channel, not just websites, but any channel, there can be a platform set up so that any request that comes in, this guided conversation is essentially asking users and organizations the right questions. Once we receive data on what that input was from a customer, it can launch and automate anything else to happen. We need to grab information from CRM. We need to do this in another app. We need to send another response back based on that information. It becomes a lot more intelligent. We're basically putting together blueprints with these bot conversations and making that process a lot more seamless. There's a bunch of cards, different components, makes it drag and drop, makes the process extremely easy, and it comes with a lot of functionality and a lot of power from a developer standpoint as well. So definitely something exciting. There was a Connect post on this, I believe, a couple of months ago, and it is something available for early access for partners too. So definitely recommend checking that out, because we're not ready to publicly release it just yet. It is something that we want to hear more about from our early access customers and especially our partners to know exactly what we need to include later on. So definitely that. And last but not least, one of the most exciting things is Marketing Automation 2.0. This has been talked about for a very, very long time, and something that is, of course, available for early access for customers. But one thing that's absolutely exciting is going to be a new revamped interface, something that looks a lot cleaner, is not as difficult to sort of navigate, and makes that user experience a lot more pleasant as well. So you're going to see a lot of changes here. You're going to see changes to how it works alongside campaigns, how it works with CRM, and even just how the whole interface is designed, how journeys are created, and everything else. A lot of the things might be functioning very similarly to its predecessor, but the actual functionality and the speed to actually set up things like journeys or campaigns has been taken into account. We want to make that process as easy as we can, but still pack the same power that we've had before, which has been one of the most challenging things that we've wanted to invest time in to get right. So this is again available for early access, and we're hoping that we can offer more and more functionality as we get to launch, which hopefully is going to happen sometime this year. But look out for Partner Connect updates on that too. But that's pretty much what I have to talk about here. I definitely went over my existing amount of time, but I think we still have some time for questions. So I do want to say thank you, everybody, for coming and attending this session. I know this is a lot of stuff to digest. Might feel like we're drinking from a fire hose here, but I know that there's going to be some exciting things to think about and talk about too. So I believe we do have some time for questions. So I'm going to go ahead and get going on that too. And it looks like we have quite a lot. So let's kind of go from here. Give me just a few minutes or a few seconds to kind of read through these. All right. Great question here about Canvas. Yes, we are seeing improvements. So since Canvas is making improvements in apps like CRM, are we going to see it launch for other apps? Yes, absolutely. We're going to continue to get this right in CRM. We're going to continue to see exactly what the market is looking for, what the demand is from clients, and once we are getting it to a point where it could be an embedded component, we're going to be able to utilize this across other applications. One thing that I know is going to happen is that we'll be able to use this sort of same technology probably in Creator is going to be where it makes a whole lot of sense. And that's going to be where we see a lot of demand. Of course, we're going to be able to see it in other applications too, but I think Creator is going to be one of those that's going to benefit a lot from a Canvas sort of feature and implementation. So definitely on the horizon, definitely something that we want to look for, and we'll see that happening. I can't promise when for sure. That's definitely out of my pay grade, but it is something that we are targeting and we will see in the future. Okay, cool. So let's take a look at some other ones here. This is a good question about Workdrive integration with CRM. So there is obviously an integration with CRM already there with Workdrive, just with the attachments module. But I know this is something that our CRM team is actively working on. We are going to see that the documents module in CRM is going to go through some pretty aggressive changes that basically utilize Workdrive on the back end. So you might see some changes with the documents module pretty soon, but we're even going to be taking that a step further with some more powerful integrations with, on a record level, for example, and creating and managing content for every single record. I haven't heard a lot of information, but I know it's on the horizon. It is something in the development roadmap. So we are going to see more information on that pretty soon. So yeah, great question, Rick. Yes. So this is a good question about making Canvas a little bit more accessible in edit mode. This was one of those things that when Canvas was in early access last year, one of the biggest complaints about it was that there was no editing option whatsoever in when you're looking at a Canvas record in the view page. And there was I remember seeing this very long forum post about it, and even Money Vembu chimed in a little bit about that and acknowledged how serious and how much of a priority it needs to be. And this is a forum post that's still available publicly. So I know that there's an Ajax edit, meaning that you can click a little pencil icon and make an edit to a field. And if that's not ready, it's definitely something on the roadmap. But I feel like once we acknowledge that that's something that we need to prioritize, it is something that we're going to be taking more of a priority on if it's not already there. So definitely something that we've acknowledged and definitely something that we want to do. So for sure. Great. Projecting this question about, new items available. Not everything that we talked about today is available now. There are some things that are available at this point, such as wizards in Sandbox. A lot of these things that I talked about today are just available for early access for partners and some customers only. And some things are not available at all just yet, but we wanted to share a few of those things. So look out for Partner Connect. There are posts about a lot of these that I've discussed today. So with some of those features that are available with early access to partners, definitely take a look at those and kind of go through that look of it. So definitely important there. All right, perfect. Let's see. Question about marketing automation in terms of what we could share with customers. At this point in time, I can't really speak on behalf of the product management team for marketing automation, but because I can't speak for them, I would recommend not mentioning anything to customers at this point in time. Marketing automation is something that we want to do right because it's been an interesting journey. We've learned a lot along the way. We've made some mistakes, of course, and we're trying to improve on those things. So once it is ready for communication with customers, we want to make sure that we're doing the best that we can. So I would say keep it hush hush for now, and look out for updates on the Partner Connect post about it. Naresh Kumar, who's the product manager of marketing automation, he's an extremely intelligent guy and he's extremely receptive to feedback. So I would definitely recommend communicating with him on Connect because he's a great listener and he wants to take this seriously and get things right. So I would definitely recommend just riding the wave on that and hearing back on it later for sure. So Deb had a question about Canvas creating a layout in Sandbox and then deploying it to multiple client accounts. That is pretty interesting, and I can't say for sure that it is something that's being worked on, but I see the validity behind it. To make y'all's lives easier and even our own, someone like my team who talks to customers every single day and wants to make it easier for myself, it makes a whole lot of sense. we would want to be able to create, maybe a gallery of canvases, so that people can just plug and play and use them. Or if we build something super specific to the customers that we want to work with, make it easy for them. So, for example, different verticals, right? Maybe we want to create a real estate version of Canvas that makes it easier to look at houses than maybe something else for e-commerce products that might be available, or accounts for hospitals versus insurance companies or whatever else. The validity is there. I see why, and I don't have an answer, honestly, but it is something that I want to take up with our team. One of the biggest things that we are going to be doing for sure is creating a gallery of Canvas. And so basically, think about our marketplace, and being able to see and pick and choose what integrations we want to be able to deploy the same thing for a lot of functionality. Canvases being one thing, marketing automation journeys being another. Not sure how we would do that when it comes to third-party developed ones, but it is something that I know that we've been thinking about for a while. So I don't have a solid answer for you, but I know it's been talked about, and I want to take it back up. So I'm glad you asked that question, because it has been on my mind, just not at the forefront. So I'm going to be seeing what I can find out just for you, Deb. So when it comes to accessibility standards, it is something that we haven't, by our own admission, have not put a lot of emphasis on in the past. But one of the things that we've been doing a lot lately is investing a lot of time and a lot of resources in our compliance efforts. And it started with privacy. It started with GDPR, where we saw some of the most major investments in compliance standards. If you've seen recently, we've added a lot of ISO standards in our compliance as well. HIPAA was something that we were able to achieve and publicly discuss recently. And we're working on a few other ones internally as well, to add on more and more. And ADA is one of those that we want to invest a lot of time on as well. We've seen that demand happen from customers all the time. They need keyboard accessibility standards for products. Being able to access different parts of the UI for able-bodied users and everything. And it is something that we are thinking about more and more. And as we strengthen our compliance investment and our efforts, this is something that we will be working on too. And we started that process a little bit, such as with Zoho Mail, making it a little bit more accessible to users. We've seen that same thing in a few other products too. So yes, definitely something that's a priority for us. I don't have a lot of concrete information to share, but I know it's something that we're willing to spend more time on. Will Canvas be included in platform? I want to say yes, but I'm not 100% sure. So I'll take that up as an internal question that I'll find out a little bit more information on. But I believe so. But don't take my word for it just yet. But it would be awesome if it was. Of course, that would make a whole ton of sense if it did. So I'm pretty sure. Let's see here. Oh, sorry. Yeah, I forgot to project the question. Thank you for that. Whoever did that. Yeah, will Canvas be included in platform? I'm not sure, but we'll definitely let you know. Great. Let's see here. When do these improvements for Workdrive and integration with CRM be available? Don't have a timeline on that just yet. We'll definitely keep you guys posted on Connect when that does happen. But yeah, it is definitely something on the forefront for sure. Absolutely. Let's see here. Any work on or updates on forums and CRM integration, more similar to survey integration to CRM? That I'm not too sure about. I would say that it is something we do need to change up, because I think to be honest, I think the forms to CRM integration is pretty limited. I believe you can only integrate with one system at a time. And while it is still fairly impressive that you can do a lot of things with the form integration, a lot of automation and stuff, there is some improvements to be made. I'm not 100% sure, but let me see what I can find out. Will Canvas be implemented in Recruit? I don't know. And I'm saying a lot of I don't knows lately in these past few questions, but I wouldn't be surprised if it did. Basically, every single feature that's been rolled out in CRM eventually makes its way to Recruit. It just takes some time. Blueprint, for example, took about 5 or 6 months from when it implemented in CRM to when it got to Recruit. So I wouldn't be surprised if Recruit got Canvas too. It might actually be getting it quicker than any of the other apps, just because they're so similar to each other. So yeah, I mean, I think so. But again, don't take my word for it. Again, way above my pay grade. I'm projecting this question, even though I don't know the answer to it, but it does beg a pretty wider discussion. When is Zoho going to start using one form to kill them all instead of many different forms across apps? It makes a ton of sense. I mean, if there's already a builder, if there's already an application that we use for forms, why are we reinventing the wheel in individual applications? I get it, makes sense, and I see and I hear what George is saying here. I think this is something, I know that there have been Connect posts about it, but I think this is something that we need to kind of gel the conversation, I think, because honestly, like CRM has its web forms, Zoho landing pages is available for early access. It has its own forms, but by the way, Zoho Forms is being used in the backend of landing pages. I know that for a fact. So there is some variability, but I think any new application that we come out with will always adopt forms as a backend for that. Similarly, Zoho Forms uses checkout as its backend for the payment fields that it has, which we didn't see happen when Forms came out, because Forms came out after checkout did. I mean, Zoho Forms came out before checkout did. So I feel as though every application that comes out afterwards, it just makes sense to use Forms as the backend. For existing applications, that process is a lot more challenging. There's a lot of code bases to change. There's a lot more complexity behind it. But I don't want to make an excuse, because I still see that it's valid. So I would honestly recommend having another restart of that conversation on Connect to really see where we're going with that. Danielle's question about the global pick list in CRM. This has been a highly demanded feature. I don't have any updates on it, but I know it's something being worked on. Had a conversation with the product manager a few weeks ago where we brought that up. So I can't say when. I don't even know if it's going to be this year or not, but yeah, it is something I know that's on the roadmap. So that's all I can really say for now. But it looks like we've got pretty much all the questions answered here. So I'm going to jump off. Again, it was awesome talking to everybody. Love the questions, love the praise. Appreciate everybody. And again, thanks for attending.
Thank you so much for being a part of this, Samir. Truly quite insightful, and I appreciate you jumping in onto our first Unify event.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks.
You're welcome. I've chatted the link to the post-event survey. I would really appreciate if you all could fill that out to see what you liked, what you didn't like, what we can work on. I've also projected it as a question here for easy access in case it's gotten a little bit jumbled in the chat. But we won't be sending out a survey email until tomorrow, along with the recording. If the sooner we can get those responses, though, it'll be better. So right now, if you have a few minutes, 5 minutes before 1 p.m. CST. So go ahead and fill out that survey for us. It'd be really appreciated. And I hope to see you all again on what will hopefully be the next Unify event and on our next town hall. So thank you all so much for joining.